Okay, we're good.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We will call the March 20th, 2024 Advisory Committee meeting to order. Welcome, and again, thank you for joining. To the committee members as well as anybody in the audience. The first order of business will be the review and approval of the minutes from February 21st. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from February 21st? If so, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Leonard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Marie.
Pat,
Okay. All those in favor? Any other discussion necessary? All those in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you so very much. The next order of business is the 109 board update. I would imagine that would be Mr. Flood or Ms. Maynard.
I think Pete can start us off an update about the RFP.
so just wanted to let everybody know this committee worked on the cost of services study RFP for quite some time. Last meeting, it was approved to move towards to the board. We met. The board had a few questions, but no changes to the RFP were made, and it was voted unanimously to move forward with this RFP. So where that goes next, as I checked today, it has been sent over to our purchasing department to put it into its, I guess, the main purchasing document, RFP document that the city procurement uses. And it's going to be reviewed by our new procurement person, which just recently started. So we'll see how all this goes. And after he reviews, if he has any questions, we'll answer those, and hopefully it will be out for proposals next week. So that would be the goal. So that's a good thing, man. We made some progress on this, so that's really good. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Yeah, if I may clarify, did we not request the opportunity to have a pre-bid meeting with all the bidders?
It was bidders are required to attend a pre-bid meeting in order to participate in the bidding process. That is part of the RFP. And during the form that I had to fill out to submit an RFP, I also checked that box that we will be requiring a pre-bid meeting. So we should be good to go on that.
Thank you very much for that confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Any other questions from committee members? All right.
The next item was the host agreement, and we've talked about getting this going for quite some time. We have started that process. We formed a committee. There were a few questions, rightly so, about Open Meetings Act and how we can do that. I have taken that back to the county attorney's office to get some clarification to make sure that I know exactly what we're doing. I received that. Everything has to be open with the exception of when we are negotiating directly. And therefore, everything will be pretty much open. That might not be the greatest thing. Waste management maybe not wanting to have some of that out into the public because we will be kind of discussing the strategy and stuff in open. But It's not the best thing to do as far as I feel, but we are going to follow the rules. And so we will be publicly noticing the meetings out to everyone. Anybody can attend, and we will move forward from there. We've also enlisted the assistance of the state local assistance division of the Energy and Environment Cabinet. They assist in host agreement negotiations across the state. So I met with them today. They made a suggestion that we speak with Tom Fitzgerald, previously with the Resource Recycling Council, I believe, Kentucky Resource Council, who has negotiated many of host agreements. And in fact, I believe was involved in Louisville's previous host agreement development. I could be wrong. But we also reached out to him through Sarah Lynn, and I believe he has agreed in principle to assist us in this regard. I need to bring the board up to speed on that and have to work out some of the details, but he'll be a good person to have along. And obviously his experience in doing these all across the state will be super beneficial to us. So
He's extremely smart.
yeah, he's a pretty sharp guy. So we'll be giving you a little bit more details into that as it comes. The state's going to be getting back with me with some details, and we'll move forward as soon as we can on getting that moving forward.
Do you have any estimate as to when the first meeting will be on that, Pete? We talking a month or talking weeks, months?
I would hope within the next month. I had hoped I actually scheduled a meeting tentatively the last week or early this week, but due to some of those concerns and then the possibility of bringing in additional resources, I kind of stopped on that. So I don't have a firm time or date, but everybody will be noticed, and hopefully within the next month, sooner the better.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from committee members?
I will say this, keep in mind that this is a legal document that we're going to be drafting here. And as such, it would require several things. Number one, it has to go out to public comment, whatever the draft is. Have to have a public hearing for people to be able to have their say. And it may also require a public hearing because we will have to amend our 5-year solid waste management plan. So those things take time. And, as our state coordinator said today, sometimes that can take months. She said some of these negotiations have taken up to 18 months to get through. So it's a long process. And one of the biggest things that it involves is public input. So we have to keep that in mind. That's who we're here to serve. So be patient. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pete. Any questions from board or committee members? Well, hearing none, we can move along to the staff update. Recycle rate program progress report.
Yes, so we decided to share some more info about how that's going, and I do have a PowerPoint. Share. This is the agenda, which we're already doing. Okay, so the Recycle Right program we have certainly talked about before as we've piloted the program and gotten the funding to implement it full time. So we are currently doing this with part-time employees that are considered education specialists. And the goal of this program is to reduce recycling contamination and increase the quality of recycled materials so they're more valuable and more new products can be made from them. So through this program, I believe we've shared a lot about how it goes, but I did want to make sure everybody's up to speed. We have areas that we go to. They're dedicated, they're established areas so that we can go once and then go again, and up to 3 times we've been doing. And the first time we go, we actually leave a letter that's kind of an announcement letter sharing what the program is all about, along with their first tag on their cart that shares that some feedback about what is seen inside their cart. And when things are looking good, they get the green way to know tag. And on the other side, it still says keep recycling these. And if there's any of those contaminants as shown in the yellow tag or the red one, we're looking for foam, bagged recycling, anything hazardous like batteries or flammables, large items, which we broaden that category to be tanglers, furniture, wood, just big things, bulky things that shouldn't be in there, food and liquid, and plastic shopping bags or wrap. So when the team looks in the cart, kind of like in that photo, they're looking for these contaminants, and if they see any, they'll check the box and leave a yellow tag most often. Now we reserve the red tags for carts that are obviously being used for trash, and we don't want them to be emptied into a recycling truck, or in some cases yard waste. We've actually had some that people have just kind of used as like a yard waste container. So you'll see some results. We don't really give a whole lot of red tags, but we do. When we do, we share that with our enforcement team and our collection team, because of course we're doing this before the collection team goes through, and we want them to already be aware, hey, there were 3 red tags and here's the addresses or whatever. So any questions about that so far? So we began the program full time with our employees in November, and as of now, we've completed 17 areas. And areas are basically, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I had my mute on.
Oh, okay. You want me to go back?
No, I've heard everything you said, but just a quick question. When they open the lid of the recycle bin and see something, do they close it and put a tag on the whole bin, or do they pull the offending item out?
Right. We do not pull the offending items out. For the most part, these, here, I'll go back on. The contaminants here, although we don't want them, they're not going to completely ruin everything. I mean, obviously, if there was something super detrimental like a battery, we understand that that can cause major problems, not only at the facility, but inside the truck. But for the most part, these are not going to ruin a whole load. It's just extra work for the team at West Rock to pull out these items, or they'll be sorted differently into a contamination area. So no, we can't really pull the items out. But we reserve the red tags for carts that are mostly full of a lot of trash. When we piloted the program in the summer, sometimes a cart just was full of maggots, and we kind of made up our own rule that maggots were an automatic red, because that meant there was just a lot of food waste and really disgusting things inside it, and we didn't want that to go to the recycling facility. But on the yellow tag, it's more feedback for people to realize that they should not be putting maybe a laundry basket or something. Like, yes, it's plastic, but it's big and it doesn't sort very well at the recycling facility. They don't really want it. So, or we'd prefer people to keep items loose in their cart. There's no reason to bag items at the household level. So just that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So as of now, we've completed 17 areas, and those areas vary in size, but it's basically what our team can complete in their shift. They have a 4-hour shift in the morning, and that can involve drive time depending on what location they're in. But it kind of depends on how close the houses are, if they have to drive in and out of any areas, or if it's mostly walking. So the areas vary in size, but it's usually a few hundred households.
Hey, Karen, if I could break in just a moment. Just a reminder that everybody needs to keep their cameras on during the meetings. It could impact our quorum. So just a reminder that you need to keep your cameras on if you intend to be part of the meeting.
Thank you. And actually, when you stopped, it made me think that I wanted to share that our 17 areas are in various parts of the county. And actually, in a minute, I'll be showing you a map. So, all right. So overall averages that we've found so far, when you look at the results of an area, you're kind of looking at how many out of all the tags you left in an area, how many were green versus yellow versus red. And we have found an average of 12% more green tags are left after the first tagging. And I just say after the first because in some areas we've only gone twice. In some areas we go 3 times. It kind of depends on the results we're seeing. And when you look at the average for each area, the highest percentage of green tags that we give, the average is 67% of the highest. And then with reduction, we've actually, as far as our contaminants go, we do have contaminants in all the categories typically, but we get the most plastic bags and wrap and bagged recycling. So for this slide, I just gave the reduction that we're seeing in those categories. I'm actually surprised even styrofoam doesn't have that high of a impact. And it doesn't mean that it's not in the cart because we can't see everything, but out of all that they can look at and kind of, look inside a little bit, we don't see styrofoam as often, but we do see a lot of plastic bags and wrap. So we've seen an average of a 10% reduction and a 9% reduction of each of those from first tagging to last tagging. So I thought I'd share 2 areas that we actually saw the best results so far. And this one is just kind of a little bit of the map. The blue is the households. It's bound by Kingston, Southside Drive, Auger, and 3rd Street. And it's kind of near Iroquois Manor, if you're familiar with that area. And so in that area, we increased the number of green tags by 37%. And of course, when we increase that, we're also decreasing the number of yellow tags and maybe red tags too, if there were any. But I just kind of keep following the green because we just like seeing that number go up. And then the final percentage of green tags they gave was 77%. And we do percentages because the participation can vary from tagging to tagging. But and then we reduced the plastic bags and wrap by 19% and reduced bagged recycling by 9%. So that was an area that saw some great results. Another one was in the West End, Southwestern Parkway, bound by there, Larkwood, you can kind of see it in the background, 40th, and then West River Park. We increased the number of green tags by 34%. The final percentage was 65%. And then we reduced plastic bags and wrap by 24%. and bag recycling by 19%. So we were pretty pleased with both of those areas, and we hope to keep seeing good results in the various areas.
Karen, I have a question. Is it a possibility for the ones that you have seen go up and you have that 34% increase with green tags? Since you know the address, if we could send a letter asking them maybe where the confusion was.
Yeah, like giving a survey maybe.
Yeah, like since we know the address, just to, because obviously they made it change, but and they didn't mind doing it. So what initially created the confusion for them?
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about a survey, but that could also be something we could add to the tag, or something like that, maybe a QR code or something. Oh, Brandon has his hand up. Go ahead, Brandon.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just have a question when you're done answering her.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it. I like the idea. Go ahead.
I would think adding it to the letter might be the best. We can, we intend to send a letter out at the completion of a larger area, not every time that we do it. And part of that could be a post, I guess, post tagging survey as well. So the hard part is lots of times we don't have necessarily the name of the person, and it may vary a little bit, but we can definitely participate. I mean, work with the people that come to participate with us.
Karen, my question was just about, do the OOPS tags have messaging about where and how to recycle the plastic bags? We've been talking about that as separately offline.
Yeah. Yes, Brandon. It's kind of tricky because of the amount of space we have on a tag. But what we have on there is the QR code for Recycle Coach, which would then lead them to that info for any way, anything that it doesn't belong, they can look it up. So it does require a little extra effort. I will say so right now, when we first leave a letter and a tag, we're using these long plastic bags that were used when we did our CART grant. We had tons of those left over, so we figured we might as well use them. So on the letter, it actually has a little thing at the bottom that says to recycle the bag at the store, because our team was saying we keep finding the bags inside the cart, so we didn't want to give them an item that they can't put in the cart, but we added that info on that letter. Okay, so excuse me. So we have started, Scott Stepro is our ArcGIS person through Metro, and he made us a dashboard. So I'm actually going to stop sharing this because I couldn't figure out how to make the link work. And I'm going to share a different screen. So this still has some work because this is his first, just put everything out there on a dashboard. Let me preface this by telling you that when our team is out in the field, they use a device, a phone or an iPad, to document the address they're at, what contaminants they saw, or if none, there's a no violation, and then which color tag they left. So when they get done tagging, I can download that data through an Excel sheet. And that's how I've made the reports like what I've given you. But Scott created this dashboard because all of that data is held in one spot, and it's mapped as well. So it's magic, really. I can't explain it, but you can see just by zooming out here, you can tell where we've been in the county. And if you start zooming in, you can go all the way to the household level and see all the dots of what tags were left where. Now those dots are populated through, I believe through a location where they actually are standing when they do the survey. But anyway, the only thing we have to work on is being able to show improvement. So as you look at this, it's basically showing every tag that has ever been given. And those numbers change when I zoom in because it's only looking at what is on the screen. So anyway, that's why I'm saying it's going to need a little work to make it useful. But for us, internally here, like I can change, let me see I know the West End ones. For example, I know that we were there, let's just say November 14th, and we tagged again on the 28th. So you kind of have to look at it day by day. So it's not really the best so far on seeing improvement, but you can kind of see like 41% green tags and then 42%. So there's more in that area. So there's a little bit of work to do on understanding the best way to really show our data on this dashboard, because I really want to be able to show improvement, not just how many tags we've given out overall. But anyway, does anybody have any thoughts or questions on that?
Just one question. How do you record people who are not recycling at all?
We actually don't do anything for those addresses. So we have a general idea based on another app that we can kind of count households within an area digitally. And so we know what we have kind of a guess on what the participation rate is. So we know how many households are there, and then how many tags we give out. That gives us a participation rate. But when we're actually out in the field, we're only looking at those that are participating.
One of the things that we wondered is, would this impact the recycling rate if we sent letters to everyone? And honestly, the taggings had no real impact on the number of participants, either up or down. So this is, we're trying to strictly focus on one aspect for this program, because we feel like that helps being simple helps the education program for people to understand what we're doing.
We have a way to correlate the houses that aren't getting green tags as to whether or not they're rented or owner occupied, because I bet you there's a strong correlation.
I would say that you could probably get down and do some of that work. It might not be 100%, because again, it goes to where the person is standing taking the tag, not necessarily to the address, because sometimes people's carts are not exactly in front of their property, believe that or not. So you can extrapolate that from the data. All of this is done within a GIS layer system where you can add that type of information or pull that type of information. So at a certain point, I think maybe we could do that. I think we pretty much know the answer, but it wouldn't hurt to do that exercise.
I mean, even if you went with a census tract down well beyond the decimal point for the rate of renter for the score for the whole neighborhood, I think it would really show what's a big factor.
Yeah, I agree with that. We haven't really talked about it, but having the potential to have this on our website as a way for people to watch and see what the results are in their neighborhood could be a benefit. We're not ready to do that, obviously, because we still have some things to work out with this dashboard. But it can also be part of our overall recycling education program.
Any other questions on the dashboard?
No, I think it's a wonderful tool to have the ability to look back over several different, inspections, their improvement rate. And I like the idea of putting it out for everybody to see, Pete. It's motivation 101 right there.
Yeah, maybe we can get some competition between neighborhoods.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say, I think it's such a positive thing to see those improvement rates. I don't think you tend to see such success stories. So it's really great to be able to show that to people and tell them that they're doing the right thing.
It is especially true that this has been very successful in moving the needle with some of these things. So much so that we're looking to adopt it in other education programs. It seems that curbside touch is very important and a good way for people to get the information versus getting it from social media versus, a newsletter. This is a really good way to really kind of get to people.
Yes, Carolyn?
I hate to be a teacher, but I'd love to see those lowercase k's turned into capital K's, because when I first saw it, I thought, what is that? And then I realized it was just syntax, but always
let's
good to
not
set
know.
an example.
Yep. When we were in one of the WM areas in the East End, I received a message from someone who does the East End Living magazine. And last year or the year before, I had written something, might have been last year, that they put in the East End Living magazine. And she reached back out to me and said she had seen some, chatter on social media about this program and wanted to share that in the magazine. So that's my deadline is April 5th. So I'm working on writing something up to share in that capacity. And also I'm sure I can kind of use the same information. I've been wanting to share it a little more publicly in the media. So, and getting, a substantial amount of data under our belt was important to be able to share. So, so be looking for that. And yeah, we're excited to have something positive and again, something else to talk about and bring recycling up in neighborhoods.
I just have two more points. The first one is, we would love to do this everywhere, but it gets very difficult in a subscription area where we have multiple haulers because we don't necessarily know where the recycling is. And, so if you see that certain parts of the county are kind of not getting hit here, typically that's what's going to be happening as we go forward. And number 2 point is that we are still looking for other locations out in the county to be able to do this. And that includes from any of the waste haulers. We're interested in partnering and with home rule cities and HOAs. We can partner with either one of those. So looking to continue to get it out there all across the county.
Don't we have some of the, I don't know if it's home rule cities or what, but don't some people still get their trash and then picked up from the backyard? And if so, are they getting their recycling picked up there too? Because I really don't want civil servants walking into people's backyards for that.
Well, there's times when there's a need for that, and when we deal with handicap and stuff like that. But I can't really say in particular what the contracts are and what they, I think a lot of the contracts have started to change just due to the nature of the last couple of years. So I really couldn't tell you how many of those exist, and when they did,
Actually,
it was very
I
few.
totally agree with you. I think that your point is that it's gotten very expensive. We used to have backdoor pickup and we don't anymore. And we were one of the few left last year that still did. So I think that we can assume there probably aren't 4 cities left that have it.
I just think there's too many guns and dogs to be sending people
Well,
into
but
backyards.
I think Pete is right. I don't think there
Okay.
are very many places that have any of that anymore. We can't afford it.
And the Urban Services District has a variance that people can apply for, and we do have a small percentage of people. And I never really thought about it, Sarah Lynn, but they would just be considered non-participants because our crew wouldn't even know that
Right.
that the collection staff goes on their property to collect. So
Well, Karen, I would like to thank you very much, you and staff, for your work. I thought it was very informative and look forward to seeing the program grow.
Agreed, Bruce.
All right, any other questions or comments from committee members? Hearing none, we will move on to the education portion of our meeting tonight. I think who's going to take this one next up?
it,
Discussion.
still me. So, and Sandra, of course, this is a little bit of the work that we've done through that education subcommittee. So please chime in anytime, but I wanted to give some updates of where we're going with this and also get feedback on it. So overall, right now, our focus has been to improve recycling messaging to be more consistent countywide. And so we would like to have new materials that are finalized through partnership with private haulers, along with home rule cities or HOAs where applicable. And so we've talked about this a little bit before, that we have some different audiences that might have different strategies. So there's, of course, new recyclers, and that's meaning people who are signing up to start recycling. And we would love to, this is probably the easiest of them, if we can create some materials that are attached along with a cart at the time of delivery. Materials would be given with the new recycling container. So having that consistent messaging, this is all things that need to be finalized, like I said, in partnership with everyone. But that would be the goal. And then there's current recyclers. That one's a little trickier because there would be various methods of education used by, whether it's through an HOA that maybe has an email system, or maybe a home rule city that has a newsletter or whatever. And then also whether or not we have the resources to actually deliver information on the carts that are in existence already. And then I got some question marks here because this is kind of getting a little bit further along, but we don't want to forget that there are commercial customers, and we do want to work on multifamily recycling improvements, other businesses. So we're not quite there yet. And then also non-recyclers, and figuring out how to increase participation in curbside recycling programs. So this is a mock-up of a letter that would be delivered along with information. So it's can obviously be adapted to incorporate the name of an HOA, city, hauler, however needed. But the idea is that the Waste Management District, who is all encompassing, wants to share this information that is true no matter where you live in Louisville. And this is mocked up, basically, you can obviously see from the tag that we've used in the OOPS tag, Recycle Right program, without the check boxes, just to share that the one thing we know we all agree on are the contaminants. And of course, I've edited a little bit on there on the plastic one just to add in a cup and take away that clamshell for now. We've got to, you know, finalize our consistency on the materials. And this would be to help direct people toward the a waste district website that's then going to lead to more information. It can lead to more information based on your hauler or based on your city. That's yet to be made, but that's the idea. Recycle Coach is helpful to use the search tool no matter where you live. And this, of course, it doesn't even have to be a tag. It can, of course, be a card or whatever. But the idea is that a letter and some kind of tag could be attached to the cart, or digitally sent as well for those current recyclers. So this is basically all I have as far as slides to share. Our next steps that we want to do, it would be to establish a meeting time with representatives from the haulers, maybe League of Cities. I don't know if we do it all at the same time or separate with haulers versus League of Cities, but we want to have these discussions and ideas all put out together so that we can figure out where our consistent messaging can be in the best way. So I'm
Question.
going to go ahead and stop. Yes.
Would you go back to that, your
sorry.
little hangers, please?
Yes.
On the middle, the navy blue one,
Uh-huh.
first copy is recycle these together and keep them loose. I suspect that's going to be confusing to people.
Okay.
Why do we need to say together? Why can't we just say recycle these and keep them loose or something like that? But what's the together part?
I guess to show that they are not, that they're all mixed together, but it could be a word that is not needed.
Yeah. Because I mean, really, it sounds pretty contradictory.
Yeah. How about recycle all these, but keep them loose?
I mean, is it really that we're saying don't put them in a plastic bag?
For keep them loose, yes, that's the idea.
Why don't we just say recycle these items, comma, not in a plastic bag or unbagged or something like that?
Yeah.
Bag, maybe.
Yeah, I've got a note. I can look at wording on that. I
Who
mean, the
did
other
your
side
Spanish?
has the do not bag recyclables.
Yeah. Who did your Spanish?
Sal Melendez helps
Thought
us
you
with
might
that.
say that. It's-
Yeah,
That was great.
yes.
I still want signage for La Casita for their monthly giveaways, by the way. They're getting better, but we need to keep training them.
Okay, I need to look at that again. It's been a while since we've communicated with them. Anything else? Thanks, Corey. Commingle these, yeah.
I'm
Commingle.
sorry. Your comment with regard to getting input from the haulers, is that something you want to do via Teams?
Sorry, Bruce, you kind of broke up a little bit.
Yeah.
Your request on getting input from waste haulers, I was curious, do you want to do that via Teams? How would you like to set that up?
I'll be honest with you, Bruce. I think we'll take your lead on that a little bit as to how we can do that. We do have some other items that we would like to discuss with private haulers. Number one, the rules. Number two, litter and covering your load. Those types of things that, you know, we probably never have broached before. Would it be a problem getting all you private haulers in the same room, or y'all going to break out and get
None of
after
it.
each other?
I mean, In a public meeting, we can all be in the same room.
Okay. So it'll really depend upon how you guys want to do it. And, doesn't matter to me.
What kind of timing are you looking at?
Sometime within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we hope.
Okay, what I'll do is reach out to Bob Lee and have him try to coordinate something. And it's always better to communicate through the NWRA.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from committee members? Okay, well, thank you again, Karen. You've been a busy lady. Appreciate your work. Now we're at the point in the meeting where we'll open it up to the public. Is there any comment from any representative from the public?
Yes, this is Jerry McGraw. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jerry, how are you this evening?
I'm doing just fine. I hope all of you are likewise, and I apologize for the weather you're having to endure. As many of you know, I'm down in Tampa, MacDill Air Force Base, and we'll be here for another month. I saw something on TV last week, and unfortunately, I did not get the channel. If I see it again, I'll try to find out what channel it's on, but I just was something I thought might be a good idea there. As we run into a lot of people who simply believe that all recycling is going into the same waste management dump or the waste place over the landfill or something like that. What they were doing was a thing on TV shows, on their news shows, public service announcements or whatever. They actually went to some of the recycling places and showed the sorting and packaging of recycling materials and used that as a way to convince the observer, the people watching on TV, that in fact this stuff is not just going into the landfill, that it is in fact being sorted, it is being packaged and shipped for recycling. And I haven't heard of that in Louisville. I just thought it might be a good idea that we can learn from somebody else.
Well, we did recently get on WLKY. I guess maybe that was in January, I think, Kim, when we were at West Rock.
It was, and then there was the wave story too.
That's a little long.
Yeah, it's
before
like
that.
2 years ago. Yeah.
So yeah, that was nice that the news wanted to do that. I'm not sure, Jerry, if you're meaning like a less news and more of a TV show kind of spot, but yeah, we're always looking for ways to get that word out.
And Karen, maybe
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Jerry.
I was going to say, this was just a short 4 or 5 minute presentation, which they were talking about the disbelief of people thinking it's actually being recycled and then showing how it's being done. I just thought it was something, and I did not see if you had something in West Rock in January. Of course, I wasn't there, so I did not see that, but I was impressed by what I was seeing. Just thought, hey, if we can pick up an idea from somewhere else, let's use it.
Yeah, I was going to suggest Metro TV is starting to do a lot more educational programming, so they might be a good one to talk to do a little video that kind of walks through the tour for those who can't actually get out and do the tour themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. I bet they did something a long time ago, but even if they did, that would be something good to make much more up to date. And even in the last couple of years, they've added at West Rock anyway, added different types of sorting equipment. So that's
Actually, I totally agree with him, because the question I get the most often is it real? Are we really recycling things?
Yeah, I think number one, Karen, if you can put links to those stories, I know that you still have them, so that people here can view them and making sure that they're available. I think we have it on our YouTube channel, maybe. But we have a lot of videos there, I believe. Anyway, the point about seeing is believing. And anybody that the first time that they go to the recycling facility and see this big machine working, they really walk away with a different impression as to what recycling is. So that thought process of being able to connect people to that recycling facility is huge in my book. If we can do the mass media part of it, great. It's good. But it also comes back to who we're messaging. And if you remember in the presentation today, one of the bottom 4 was new recyclers. And this is the way, one of the ways that we're going to have to attract people to believe and to put their money towards recycling and start doing it at home. They're not going to do it if they don't believe. So another way that we'll be hopefully starting to entice new recyclers as we go.
Karen, you are welcome to tag me. Maybe others here would volunteer on Facebook, and then I can put it on my page, and maybe that will help it go a little more viral. Because the reality of it is, I mean, yeah, I get Sandra's most frequently asked question, but mine, and I got it again today, is this recyclable?
Yeah.
You know, or what am I supposed to do with this? That's happens all the time.
Yes. Same. I'm glad you get some of those. Less.
That's a question too.
Yeah, and so since people think I know this stuff, I think it's good to put the videos on my page. And when I went out to the MRF recently, I get so enthralled I forget to take pictures.
Yeah, I will definitely get some posts ready and tag you, and then you can share it.
And we can do the same, Karen. So feel free to tag us on any of your thing and we'll happily reshare.
And speaking of social media, this is a little unrelated to the recycling, but we did just share that litter perception survey through the Works Week today. So tomorrow I plan to make a specific social media post for that. So I can send that out in an email just so that everybody kind of knows to look for it, and maybe you can share it as well. But we are trying to just get a baseline of public attitudes about litter before we launch our next campaign. And that's going to start in May. So next month we'll have a little more details about how that's going, and hopefully some previews, maybe, I don't know, but we'll share that at the April meeting. And also, Bruce, I don't have it on the agenda, but I do have a few slides that kind of bring back that, remember the file where it kind of showed all those specific actions from the 5-year plan? I have some of those highlighted to just give updates on where we're at on those, if that's okay to do.
Absolutely.
Let me pull that back up. And Pete, you can jump in whenever on these, but I have them pulled out really specifically on one at a time, but the number is just the number in the full document. And these are the specific actions within the 5-year plan. On the right-hand side, like where it says recycling and reuse, that's just showing which section it's in the solid waste plan. So that's what that means. And then the date is supposed to be when it was planning to start. But this one is actually on hold. But we had added in that section, if you recall, about EV batteries, and the EV industry is just changing very rapidly. And Carl Brazeley, who's one of our board members, has been exploring ways to be involved in that. And I don't know if Pete has more to share on that, but we just wanted to kind of give an update on that one.
Not a lot to share. Carl wanted to meet with Karen and I, and we talked about, he's out and about, and he's wanting to bring EV recycling to the Louisville area so that we have this. He has a lot of contacts in a lot of different areas, and feels like that he can be a catalyst to help that happen. Of course, he's putting together something for us to see. I told him that we would be getting with Sumeda to start a conversation, because this involves a lot more than just us. It involves sustainability, economic development, a lot of different areas. So we didn't want to lose fact that because this is on hold, that we're not still looking for avenues to get more recycling, particularly in this area. So just wanted to let everybody know that more to come.
Are you talking just from electric vehicles, not rechargeable batteries from power tools and all the other stuff?
Right now, I believe that it's EVs. Now, I will tell you that we have.
Right now, it's what?
That
EVs.
it's EV.
Just EVs?
Yeah, but I will tell you that we've entered in with a grant opportunity we hope that we can get with the University of Louisville to work on a better recycling process for those types of material, those types of batteries that you're talking about, from the access level where citizens would be able to recycle through a automated sorting processing, and a different processing of those batteries to get the raw materials out. So a lot of that is beyond me. Our participation level is going to be where we collect them and get them to the yet to be determined processing location. So
The reason I ask it is because an electric vehicle owner is typically going to take that to the dealer or a car maintenance shop that can do that. They're not going to pull that out themselves, I don't think, if to my
No.
knowledge.
and they probably shouldn't. And you're right. You have dealers, you have junkyards that are going to have to be dealing with
Right.
these.
Dealers
there
and
has to-
junkyards and people like that, right?
There has to be a
Whereas-
place to take them.
Right.
And if we have a location that's, within 100 miles of Louisville, that's a huge plus. Not only for the fact that we can recycle them, but, economic development purposes.
Right.
So it can be a good thing. We hope that it comes into fruition. Kentucky wants to be the EV recycling capital of the United States. So that's a big goal. We want to be part of it.
If citizens try to do their own EV batteries, it'll probably be a function of natural selection. You know what I mean?
They are dangerous.
They're very
we-
dangerous.
We have had some discussions with the junkyards, automotive salvage yards, and they're well aware of this, and they are already training their people to how to be safe, and so it's a big deal.
Mine has pictures of a firefighter's hat and then like jaws of life, and it tells them where to use the jaws of life to disconnect the battery so they can get the person out of the car without electrocuting themselves, which is kind of bad form,
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
Right.
All right. The next one was part of the disposal system, but it was similar to the other one just now, minus the EV part. But this idea of finding end-use opportunities for drywall, concrete, and shingles, and that is currently on hold. And I think we've reported that already, just based on some issues. I guess Pete tried really hard to get something going, but do you have anything to say about that?
The market is not exactly right for it. And when I say market, it's not necessarily that. It's that particularly with shingles, getting them back into asphalt is going to be particularly difficult with some of the new standards that the state of Kentucky DOT has adopted. We've worked with the Asphalt Association of Kentucky, who is a big proponent of using shingles in that mix. And they've pushed to the point where they basically can't push anymore. And so we will continue to work on that one. And we haven't given up on drywall either. I think Matt Smith has been reaching out to other recycling facilities in the region and talked about us making a field trip to them to see how their operations work. So it's not, while it might be on hold, it's not, we're just not going to get to the point where we're going to be moving fast on it, is what I would like to say.
Pete, I don't know if either you or Karen were on the last Green Team meeting, and I'm not sure if we talked about this, but the Louisville Airport has a big concrete recycling plant, and they indicated that they have the capacity to take on a lot more concrete from other parts of the city. So that may be an opportunity that we can follow up with them on.
Yeah, the one thing that's recycled pretty well is what we found out was concrete. And we do have a concrete recycler here in town already. Competition, that's where you have it. So there you go.
Okay, this one, this is the one about the RFP that Pete already gave an update. So it is in process, the cost of services study. And then the capture rate studies, that is in process as well. Apparently, oh gosh, I can't remember what the email said today. Was that about, or maybe was that about that one, or maybe that was
It's been awarded, but there has to be a final contract, and it's been going back and forth between the chosen bidder and Metro government to finalize that, and it's taken a long time. Part of that is because we've changed our procurement people, but this has been frustratingly slow. So this should have been done already.
Yes, I'm very excited to do this though, because I believe the results will be really big for our education plans. And then the other education one that we're actually in process working on that we basically talked about today was standardizing the solid waste management messaging across the area. So we need to do that before we can really tackle those other education actions, because a lot of it involves toolkits and outreach, and having that kind of ground floor of the consistent messaging is going to be really helpful for that. And anti-litter education and outreach messaging, that's basically still considered in process because that's what we're using our vendor field trip for. As mentioned earlier, we have a campaign that we're working on that will launch in May that we're really excited about. So that was the end of the 5-year plan updates. And I'll update that whole list and send it out as a PDF so you can see all of those again.
All right. Thank you very much, Karen. Any additional comments from committee members? And once any comments or anybody wishing to be heard on any of the agenda items by anybody in the audience? Hearing none, I guess we go to any announcements, and they're right there in front of us. Obviously, the next non-annual board meeting is March 27th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. And the next advisory committee meeting will be April 17th, 4:30 to 6 p.m. I would like to take the opportunity to thank everyone for your participation. Greatly appreciated. I thought it was a good meeting and very informative. Karen, you did a lot of work. I'm sure you and staff. I'm sure you did it all yourself, but we'll give credit to some staff members. But, thank you very much. It was very informative, and look forward to the next meeting. With that, any comments?
Please send out calendar notices for the meetings, because I even checked today just to make sure, and there was nothing there, so I thought we didn't have a meeting.
Yeah, mine is a recurring one, Sarah Lynn. So it should have, maybe when you, I'll email you separately. Make sure you have it.
We've tried to send out things before in advance of recurring, and things like this happen, and then we send it out right before. It's sometimes things just happen.
I thought we were going back to in person at some point. Did I make that up?
You may have made it up.
Okay,
I'll say it's not on my calendar either.
okay.
So yeah, to your point about in-person meeting, I think that there's times for in-person meeting, like every few months, maybe we can make it an in-person meeting. But I'm not sure that we have any difficulty in conducting our meetings virtually. But it would be good to have that personal touch every now and then.
Very good. Any other comments? I guess hearing none, I will, number one, thank everyone. Number two, ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Okay, I have a motion. I'm sorry, who made the first motion?
Kim,
Okay, and then second by
me, Sarah Lynn.
Carolyn, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Everyone have a very safe and enjoyable evening. Thank you.
Thanks for chairing us, Bruce.
thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.